I cannot find this video to save my life in order to respond to it. And I think I didn't like it or bookmark it because I didn't like her and what she had to say. And it made me so angry.
Okay.
But there was this woman yesterday that I came across, and it had hundreds of thousands of likes and views and whatever. And it was all about the fact that how dare we all think we deserve loan forgiveness, or you willingly signed up for a loan, you signed the paper, you knew what you were getting into, blah, 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 with the student loans. And it was about student loan forgiveness. And it was just like, and she said the entitlement and the way that we all are looking for a pass. And I will tell you, I had no idea what I was getting into, and I don't think a lot of us did.
She is right. A lot of people did not know what they were getting into, not understanding how minimum payments would affect them over time. Additionally, a lot of people got income-based repayments based off of their income, their family situations, how many kids they have, that sort of thing, right? Might have even been close to what minimum payments would have been and paid those for about 10 years. And then 10 years later, they decide to log in and say, hey, this amount has actually went up more than what I borrowed. Yeah, that's crazy. Not understanding minimum payments, not having financial literacy or financial education, which a lot of people in their youth don't have. But guess what? What I think doesn't matter, and neither does what anybody else thinks when it comes to the fact that this is something that those individuals, unfortunately, will have to deal with, which is why it may behoove people to call their loan provider to see what their situation is and what their payment may be so they can figure out how they should act accordingly.
Specifically millennials. My parents didn't go to college. They never had student loans. They didn't know what they were co-signing, and that we're now all in this. And they just were like, you get the education, you're going to get the job, and you're going to be able to pay me back tenfold and take care of me into my retirement.
First off, hold up. Hold the phone. Did she say her parents were expecting her to take care of them in their retirement? That's the first red flag, because why are people having children with the expectation that your seed that you brought into this earth is supposed to now provide for you in the future? Make it make sense. I know the parents out there ain't gonna like it. I don't care. That don't make sense. How you gonna turn a baby into a paycheck? How you gonna turn a baby into a retirement plan? How you going to turn somebody who did not ask to be on this earth into the person that you are going to now depend on 1,000% in the future? What? In your womb, you already had plans like, this is going to be the one to put me in the rocking chair and to wheel me around. And I say this is somebody without children. And if I did have children, I wouldn't have them so they can take care of me. I would have children because I want to provide a good life for somebody other than myself. What is up with some of y'all? That's the first problem. Don't care who get mad. Join the army if you want to fight about it, if you had kids for this reason. Because what? Now that's selfish if you ask me. That is literally somebody thinking of themselves. And you ain't got to take my word for it. Here's the dictionary. Selfish, of a person, action, or motive lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. Can't get more spot on than that. Can't argue with facts, because that's not about the child. That's about you and how you gonna do what you do in the future. All right. I done forgot what she said because I done got so... What? Okay, what she originally was saying was, her parents never went to college, but they were expecting her to pay them back tenfold. They'll be able to get paid back tenfold and help them in retirement because she has went to college as their child. So they co-signed on the loan, not understanding the loan either. Well, what that essentially means is her parents are also going to get held liable for her student loans because they were the co-signer. If she doesn't make the payments, they're going to go after the parents for the payments. That's what happens when you co-sign on a loan.
I can barely afford to live, and I have a good job. I have degrees, but I'm also like $100,000 in debt.
I want to know what the degree is in. No shade to her. I actually am hoping it's something that pays well. She said at the omission of her own words that she has a good job, because that means she might have did something right, which is a good thing. But is it enough to pay back the student loans? I don't know.
And the interest just keeps going up, and I keep going down in my bank account. And I was promised to be, and maybe that was really naive of me to be like, I was promised to be this really successful person. But the thing is right out of college, I got minimum wage.
Sounds normal.
And was happy to have health insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have worked my way up now. I think I make like 40. 7,000? I honestly don't even know.
She says she makes 47,000. Okay. How much are the loans? Did she say 100? Do you live with your parents? I hope. How long you was in school? Okay.
But I pay a lot in health, vision, dental.
Right.
I rent from my mom,
Oh.
which I'm lucky because otherwise I'd be living in my car.
Now, she says she rents from her mom. Hopefully, her mom isn't doing her in, because I know how some of y'all parents can get. As soon as your kids get a little bit of money, you want to charge them like they're Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, knowing good and well their situation. If anybody knows, you know. Not saying that's her mom, but...
Like, I am by no means down on my luck.
Okay, that's good.
But I pay pretty much rent to my mom, and then I pay like a second rent to my dad, who co-signed my loans, who also thought I'd be making like $150K because I got a degree. That degree hasn't done shit. I've only had to show one job that I legitimately have a degree. That's it. I have not been asked to present that degree besides one place. I could have lied this whole time.
And a lot of people lied. I know a guy. He done lied his way into IT. And I'm not saying it was right. I'm saying I understand. However, if they ever put you to the tests, you know, years down the line and they say, where them certs? Where's that degree from so-and-so? You on your own, big dog. I don't even know. And you want to know where he learned the most of his stuff? YouTube University. No, in all seriousness, how many times have you yourself had to produce your degree whenever you apply for a job? I'm curious to know.
And saved like $100K. I wasn't in state anywhere when I graduated because I changed high schools 3 times. You have to be 2 years in state to get in-state tuition.
Yeah.
It didn't matter where I was going to go. It was going to cost a minimum of like $45,000. People can say you can go to, I did go to community college.
Okay.
For a year. I got all the stupid scholarships where I literally wrote a letter to somebody being like, I have asthma and it impacts me. And they gave me like $5,000.
And y'all better write them letters. Don't be too good to go out and get what you can afford. Ain't nothing wrong with that essay you had to write. Hello? Leaving money on the table, why? I don't see nothing but space and opportunity. Don't be too good to get a grant to go to community college, which is good that she went. As a former member of the Broke and the Restless, I know what it was like. I encourage this.
But the fact that I even had to do that is so nuts.
What?
And when people are handing you, you're signing these loans and you're told you're going to be these successful people who make tons of money, you believe it because you're a child and you don't have educated parents who know better because they didn't go to college and they didn't sign loans and they're co-signing them. And now you guys are in cahoots and fighting left and right because of money, because both of you didn't even know what you were signing up for.
And I ain't hear a lie on this last part. She said that was absolutely true. Oh, y'all ain't gonna like what I'm about to say because I'm gonna be all the way raw with y'all right now. Your parents that are bad with money, don't ask them for advice. Find somebody else to do. Find somebody else. If your mom say anything above a 10% is good, run for the hills. That lady don't know what she's talking about. Wisdom does not come with age. At all the times that I have heard this statement, I am now a firm believer. I don't care how old you are. If I ask you a few basic questions about financial literacy and you can't answer effectively, I don't want to hear nothing else from you about finance. I'm not taking your advice. It's a setup. You gonna have a suffering. And you ain't gonna be nowhere to be found off of these bad financial decisions. But luckily for her, not really luckily, because this is sad for everybody in this situation, her parents can't run because they signed on the dotted line too. And in many cases, your parents don't have to feel the heat for the decisions you made as far as your student loans, even though they were the ones that told you to take out student loans because they were the ones you were looking out for the guidance from. But these parents right here that so happen to give the bad advice and sign on the student loans too, they on the hook and they can't run either. Ready or not, here they come. You can't hide. They're going to find you. They're going to find you and your dad and your mom. Got a bounty for the whole bloodline.
It makes me so angry when I see people who are like, you knew what you were getting into. No. Most of us did not. Some of us didn't have the counselors and the education and the parents who went to college. True. And knowledge of like how to navigate college.
And at the end of the day, nobody still cares. That might be too raw. I'm sorry. I gotta soften the approach because I think that people would take my bluntness as a lack of empathy. I do empathize. I might crack a joke here and there, but that's for entertainment purposes. And they also say sometimes the best jokes contain a little bit of the truth. But additionally, they don't care. They're going to come after you and your parent. And that doesn't mean that people telling the truth about situations and how they possibly are going to pan out lack empathy. It's just more so we are living in the reality of the situation. Our feelings and the reality are two separate things. Don't mistake that for people lack empathy because they're not crying and like, oh my gosh, these people have to pay student loans. It's so wrong. It is sad that they have to pay these student loans, especially in this economy. And out of pure emotion about how you may feel about the truth of what people are saying, it doesn't really matter because time will show you that that is the reality, whether you like it or not. People will be forced to pay student loans. People will have their wages garnished. Unless there is some sort of change to what we know is coming, that is what is coming down the pipelines. I don't make the rules. The people saying these things don't make the rules. Additionally, I don't think that we have to celebrate and be happy the fact that they have to pay student loans or struggle financially. I don't think we have to do that. But being realistic about the truth shouldn't be an attack on somebody because you're stating the truth. Because in my opinion, that means that we as a society have got to the point where we are just having emotional conversations. And if you're saying any sort of truth, you're attacking somebody. That's not the case. And part of being a mature adult is being able to take in this information, not be emotional about it, and getting upset about the actual message or attacking the truth of the matter.
Like, that's not everyone. So when they're offering you money and you're like, okay, and I'll pay this back later, you're not thinking, and then they're going to hound me. And you think it's going to be on a scale, like a sliding scale, not for private loans. They'll say, I'm going to call where you work. Yep. I'm going to possess your car. Yep. But you owe $2,000 a month and I'm making $14.50 an hour for a job that required me to have a degree?
Ooh,
are you kidding?
That's that hurt. Extreme pain. And I want to know, when she's saying she's making $14 an hour, is that currently off of the job that she said is a good job? I'm hoping that that was in the past. We're going to have to keep everybody in our prayers, y'all, because that is horrible. And you know what I found a lot of people saying is like, how am I supposed to do it? What do y'all want me to do? And they're online making these videos asking this question. Y'all ain't going to like this either. The truth is they will have to figure something out. Look, a lot of people want somebody to get online and tell them how they're going to figure out their situation. If we all had a rule book on how to get out of every situation we could in life, you don't think that we all would have done it by now? That's the crazy thing about life is I don't know what you're going through. You don't know what I'm going through. But I tell you one thing, we're all going through stuff. Whether y'all want to believe it or not, there are people struggling right now. You wouldn't know they're struggling. They're not online telling their whole story, but they're going through stuff just like you. I'll even put my name in the hat and say, I have been going through stuff that a lot of y'all would have no clue about because I don't talk about it. Because guess what? I'm human also. And your neighbor is going through stuff. The person at the gas station that she was being rude to today is going through stuff. The barista at Starbucks who got the really bad looking makeup, she going through stuff. The person you just cut off in traffic is going through stuff. Everybody going through stuff. We just ain't all online talking about it. Whether you decide to share that truth or not with people, you're still going to go through it. Whether I told you what I was going through or not, am I still going to go through it? Yes, I am. Because that's how life works. Was that too real for some of y'all? That's the truth. And I think that a lot of us think just because people aren't online crying about things, and I totally have nothing against her sharing her story. But I'm saying, I think a lot of times because people aren't online sharing every little thing they go through, they might see you as somebody that's not going through anything. Somebody that has not experienced anything similar to what they're going through or has ever felt any sort of turmoil or heartache, when you just have to understand these people you see online, you don't know them. You think you know people because you watch, you don't know them. You don't know what they're going through. And I appreciate people sharing their experiences in life because we can always learn from people and sharing our experiences helps other people. But that doesn't stop your life from going on and it doesn't stop your struggle. And it doesn't stop the fact that when you are an adult, you have to figure out your stuff. You waiting on somebody to save you from yourself and from your situations or whatever situations you might be waiting for a long time. But we've got to a point where we don't want to hear the truth because it don't make us feel good. That's the reality. And if I didn't like people, I would just lie to them about the truth. That's what people who really don't like you, who really want you to fail, they'll lie to you and tell you, tell you lies, give you a false sense of reality. That's evil. Those people don't want you to do well in life, because when you're in a space where you're not operating in reality, how's anything supposed to go your way? How are you supposed to fix problems when you don't even understand you got a problem? When you don't understand the reality?
It really is not as simple as you knew what you were signing up for. When you're signing up for it, you're like, I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to get a good paying job. I'm going to be able to afford all this. There are no good paying jobs.
That's not true, though. There are good paying jobs. She just may not have one. I'm sorry. That's the truth. I'm gonna need a sip of water after that one. Many people were told by other generations, yeah, if you do this, this X, Y, Z is going to happen. It definitely depends on what type of job you got. And it also depends on where your knowledge was coming from, who had the knowledge, who passed you down the knowledge so you could understand these things and understand what even is a good job. The way I was growing up, nobody could tell me what a good job is. I didn't know what that was. What is a good job? Everybody in my family worked at a factory. Everybody. I'm talking mom, dad, brother, stepdad, everybody at a factory. I don't know what a good job is, because I came from a city where everybody worked at a factory. And it's not no shade at people who work at a factory, but my knowledge was limited because of the people around me. That's all I really knew. Do you see what I'm saying? Nobody around me was a doctor. Nobody was a dentist. Nobody was like in the medical field. There wasn't any logistics. There wasn't people that were engineers around me. Do you see what I mean? And at a young age, I was very conflicted. I don't think this is all that I have to be. I just couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept it, but I didn't know what to do. And for those of y'all who know, y'all know I joined the military. Best decision I made. Don't regret it. I can say I'm a logistician. 18-year-old me would have been like, what the heck is a logistician? Wouldn't even know what that meant. That means I worked in logistics, supply chain management, worked in databases so I could order parts, understand the logistical processes, understanding how to get things to and from, shipment processes, budgeting. I had a credit card with the government that I was in charge of, making sure that I balanced every month. For the military, learned tangible skills on how to be responsible. I wouldn't have thought at 18 that that's what I would have been doing, because no one around me was doing that. I had to go out on a limb. And this is never an attack on the people around you. It's just an observation of your reality and the true perception of what you're surrounded around. I feel what she's saying, because I didn't know what a good job was. I thought that a good job was something that gave you dental, 401k, health insurance, stable, and especially good if they pay for your housing. The military had all that, because before that, I didn't have any of that. Any of it. And I say that to say this. Sometimes a change of environment is good. I know a lot of y'all are scared of change. You're scared to be around people who don't think like you. You're scared to be around people who have different careers than what everybody around you has. But sometimes that's the best thing for you. And if you're wise, you can actually learn something from both of these groups of people. Because it's not always where you're from, it's where you're going. A lot of us think, oh, I'm from this area, I got to do what everybody else is doing. No, you don't. But you will do it if that's what you think, because you've already limited yourself. Nobody else had to do it. You did that. Step out your comfort zone, y'all. Figure out some different ways. Like now we have social media. People are quite literally online telling y'all what jobs they have. What comment sections are you in? What videos are you watching? Are you watching the ratchetness and complaining that you're stuck where you are, doing the same thing as everybody else, not gaining any free knowledge online? Do you know that there's a certain lifestyle you want to live, but you aren't working towards that lifestyle? And if you reversed engineered it, there's no way possible you could live that lifestyle doing the current things you're doing. You're going to have to make some changes. Yep. It might be a little scary at first, but it might be worth it.
I have a semi-good paying job, but I'm now in my 30s.
She's in her 30s. She looks good. So it's always very interesting to hear another millennial talk about how their experience is going in the job market as far as student loans and debt and stuff like that. Additionally, I want to know what this good job is that she's talking about.
Let's see. I had to have a degree. I almost had a master's degree. I dropped out, but whatever. But almost got a master's degree. It still counts to people, apparently. But I've never had to show my freaking degree. So I could have lied and said I had a degree. It doesn't really matter. And then have like experience working since I was 15. Yeah. And I can't even tell you how many applications I have filled out. And also I've been laid off 3 separate times in the last 5 years. Scratch that. 3 separate times in the last 10. Whatever. Before I landed this position, which is considered an entry-level position. Yeah. And I had to show my degree for this one. And I also had to prove that I had entered a master's program because that mattered for whatever reason. But had I not had volunteer work with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, had I not had a reputable references as a nanny working with children and a degree and this, that, and the other, and I'm still the lowest on the totem pole.
She said Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which if some of y'all don't know, that's like where you do community work with the youth. She would be considered a big sister. She would help out the younger youth, and nanny work. So this kind of makes me feel like she's doing some sort of social work, maybe a teacher or something like that. I don't know. That's just the vibes I'm getting because she's working with kids.
But we were sold a hope and a dream and a wish. Not even a wish. It literally was like I was told, like, you're going to go to school. You're going to get your degree. You're going to make a lot of money.
If anybody tries to tell you something is set in stone, they're lying to you. How can anyone promise you that something is going to go a certain way when none of us can see the future? Nothing in life is without risk. If anything worth having comes with no risk, it might not be worth having. Just think about it. Also, and I know a lot of people are sold dreams. That's why a lot of people are in the situation they're in, because they believed the hope and the dream. That's the emotional part. But what we should be looking at is the data, the historical data that will show us what the facts more than likely will be. Things can definitely change. But if we're looking at jobs and degrees, we need to be honest about what jobs and degrees actually pay money. We don't need to be sold hopes and dreams and say, oh, if we do this, everything's going to work well. Where is the tangible proof? Where is the evidence that we are making a calculated risk that would work best in our financial futures? If we don't have that, you are quite literally selling people hopes, dreams, and lies, which might put them in a bad financial situation. The truth is, if people told the truth about these degrees, would people go into debt for degrees that wouldn't pay any money? Or if they actually wanted you to pay them money, they would sell you a dream, a false hope, a false sense of, hey, if you do all these things, you're going to end up like this without even showing you, hey, these people ain't really making no money. Which one do you think is better for business? I don't say this because I think it's right. I say this because some of y'all are navigating in the world going off of what people told you, and that's why you're getting scammed. That's why people are doing you dirty, because you can't understand that they're selling you something based off of your feelings. They want you to feel like you're going to end up in a situation that you're probably not going to end up in, but they're going to sell it to you that way because you're emotionally driven. Your desires for what you feel are driving your decision, not your sense, not the facts. And then by the time that you see the facts for yourself, it's too late. You already made the emotional decision that got you in a bad financial situation. Do you see what I'm saying, y'all? When you make decisions in the real world with businesses, don't make them emotionally. You're going to get got. I'm telling y'all right. If y'all don't get nothing out this video, think with your mind. Look at the data. Don't listen to what people say. People will lead you astray. They will lead you astray. Go off of your own research. Research for yourself. Don't believe everything you hear online. Don't believe everybody just because they're an adult. I don't care if y'all are talking about people, the elders know what they're talking about. Some do, yes, but there's a lot of people who are older that have no clue about finances, no clue about how to educate their children on proper financial decisions. And it's no attack on them. They just don't know. But we don't listen to them. You can still love them, appreciate them, show them gratitude for whatever they've done for you, but you don't have to take financial advice from people who don't understand financial implications of bad decisions. A lot of people are in bad financial situations because they thought a college degree itself was enough. They did not research that they would not have had enough to pay back student loans. Some people were also sold the dream of, hey, just go to college for whatever you love. The happy spot is going to college for something you love that also makes you enough money to advance in your career, make more money, to live within your means, or live the sort of lifestyle that you want to live. If you are in a degree that will not afford you that because somebody said, just go to school for whatever makes you happy, those people are setting you up. They're setting you up. You're going to be on TikTok next with your story talking about, I went for my passion. I challenge all of you to think for yourself. Sit down and be honest. Don't even listen to me. Make an educated decision based off of the facts you gathered, not that somebody else gathered for you on your life.
No, I live in my mom's upstairs. I pay her rent and I pay another rent towards my student loans that doesn't even cover the full of it. But because my dad co-signed and he doesn't want to lose his stuff, he helps out, which also perpetuates guilt. for me. But it's wild to me for people to be like, you think that just because you signed up for loans and that you didn't know what you were signing up for? I don't think a lot of us didn't.
Yeah.
A lot of us didn't. And a lot of us also thought we were going to be making it a lot more than we are now.
And they thought that because somebody told them. You see how easy that was? They just said it. If you do this, it's going to work out. It's really sad. She's not lying, though.
I thought out of the gates of college, because this is what was told to me, is if I get my degree and I come out of college, I'm going to be able to land a high-paying job that's like minimum $100,000 per year.
For that to be true, definitely depends on the job. Depends on what you went to college for.
I am not even halfway to that. Like, I graduated in 2015.
So did the job cut half? Because she said $100,000. It very well may have happened. But essentially, if she was told that and there was data to back it up, does that mean now that the median that job offers now is $50,000 and it once was $100,000? Now, if that was the case, it's different because we did have social media in 2015. We had the internet, and that means that we have some data to base these facts on. I'm curious to know what she went to school for.
And the amount of layoffs and wrong fits. I had a company that left town in the middle of the night and didn't tell anybody. The way that people can't grasp that other people have other experiences and didn't have the same upbringing, understanding, the lack of empathy is crazy.
It definitely is a lack of empathy for a lot of people. I'm not really sure what reaction she's looking for from people online, but nonetheless, this is something that she will have to figure out on her own or with her parents. No matter what we say, that's the truth. And I hope that her and whoever is going through any sort of these situations is able to find a solution that works well for them so they can pay back their student loans and just put all this behind them. Because I know for a lot of people, this is something just hanging over their head that is stressing them out. And the best we can do for other people is wish them well on their journey. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Did you agree with a lot of what she was saying? Do you feel that people need to have more empathy for people with student loans? Do you have student loans? But we have to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.